Well, welcome to another Adam Gold Show After Dark, match week 6 of the Premier League. Maybe even a little conversation about the Champions League. I say maybe. I know my friend Jay Kumar and I are going to talk Champions League, and we'll eulogize Manchester United, and maybe I'll even tease Jay about whether or not Aaron Ramsdale is going to go play goal for Chelsea next year. All right. First of all, you want to start with the Champions League a little bit since it's the most fresh thing going?
I mean, I think so. I mean, it's a fun day. I got nothing, no complaints, no notes. Let's do this more.
All right. So, nothing to complain about because Arsenal at home treated PSV like they stole something. 4-0. Wasn't it 3-0 at halftime?
It was. It was.
So it's a good day for the Premier League, I thought, right? Except for United, who clearly don't belong in Champions League.
That club is in a world of hurt. I'm
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't be laughing.
I think that's credit to Onana for coming requesting to speak to the media after and taking blame, but that is one of the weakest goals I have ever seen. And then they immediately gave up a second because I think psychologically they are broken.
Yep.
And then Harry Kane got one just for old time's sake. I think Thierry Henry noted he looks good in red and white. And then something happened and it was 3-1 and it easily could have been 5-1. And the next thing you know, I look up and I'm like, wait, it's 4-3?
Yep.
But they got some late consolations and but
all of it happened late, right?
But
it went from 3-1 to 3-2 to 4-2.
Yeah.
And then Casemiro at +5 made it 4-3. So certainly entertaining. A lot of goals, 7 goals.
Yeah.
But I'm actually not surprised. I don't think Bayern is awesome in the back. I think they concede a lot.
I think Bayern are a little bit fragile mentally again. And so they have Gonzaga effect, right? They are going to look really good, but when it gets to the business end of these competitions, are they mentally prepared to last till the end? Or is it gonna? It's not that they're not talented enough. They're clearly talented enough. They have enough firepower. They have enough on the back end, even if it's not elite. They have enough to get it done. But can they weather the storm?
I feel that way about PSG. I kind of feel that way about Barcelona. I know what Barcelona did to Braga. I mean, that was unkind. That was name your final score match, but I just kind of feel that way about maybe it's like this is Real's competition. They don't really care about anything else, I don't think. I think they do, but just not quite the same.
This competition means a little something differently for Real Madrid, and they have, some magic in it. Another 90+ winner from Bellingham seems like he is building himself his own statue at the new Bernabeu before it's all said and done, just turning into an all-time legend there very quickly.
At 19?
Which is some absolute, just awesome. Awesome. 19, 22? I don't know.
Whatever he is.
He's too young to be that good.
He is. There are certain players who are as advertised, and I think Bellingham is definitely that. Trying to City. That was probably a blowout based on because I was listening on the radio to Bayern and United, so they were doing cut-ins, and the guy at City was like, City's had 80% of the ball. And then all of a sudden, right before halftime, it was Red Star. Got one opportunity and they potted it, and that was that.
Yeah.
And but then, it took 5 minutes of the second half for that. That's what City does better than anybody in the world. They just go, oh, that's right. We're supposed to win this game. Boom, boom. Now we're in the lead again. That's what they do.
No, they're incredible. I think they have they don't deviate. I think the thing about City, and we can get to this, maybe a good transition into the Premier League, is what makes it so hard to play against them. They were down again against a good side this week, and just completely, again, 3-1, down 1-0 very quickly. But I think more than the talent, which they have, and the coaching, it's the psychological pressure they put on you before and during the game, that you go into it having to be perfect, thinking you have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And then when you get the lead, instead of doing what got you to the lead, you immediately revert to, oh my God, I have to be perfect. I have to protect this lead, which then invites the pressure from City.
Yep.
And it's turning the screw until finally the rubber band breaks or it just snaps. And they're just the psychological pressure of being in a title race with them, being in a match with them. That is what wins out at the end. And up until last year, the one thing they didn't have in the Champions League was that psychological pressure. They had the pressure because they hadn't done it yet. Now that's off. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do. Do they now invite the same type of pressure onto teams like they do in the Premier League in Europe now that seal has been broken? Or are Madrid and some of these European clubs that are used to going far in this competition immune to that because they think they belong there just as much as City? It'll be really interesting to see.
What's interesting, you say that about the City-West Ham match, but I felt the same way about Liverpool's comeback over Wolves. Yep. Wolves in the first half. I mean, look, I'm a Liverpool fan. I wanted Liverpool to win, but Wolves were awesome in the first half.
They could have been up 2-3-0, easy.
If
Cunha buries that,
it had to be. It should have been 2. It should have been 2. But they had the ball. They were breaking Liverpool down. Joe Gomez did not have a good day at right back.
Neto looked great. So,
well, that dude was the best player on the field for the first 45 minutes, and he has been involved in all but one, I think, of Wolves' goals all year. There aren't a lot of goals, but he's been a part of every one but one. And then in the second half, and I don't know, was it Klopp's changes? Because he did change personnel. McAllister had to come out. He was dead on his feet in the first half. He was slow. His touches were poor. He basically changed the way he set up. He brought Diaz on. They played 4 attackers. They dropped Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones back to attacking mids. Klopp dropped them back to like dual 6s. And then they just attacked. So I don't know if it was Klopp's changes or did Wolves try to win the game 1-0? Because you can't do that. Not against Liverpool. You can't do it.
No, you can't. And you got to keep going. And they're weak. They're not weak. They're vulnerable to concede more. So you have to keep going after them in that channel behind the right back, whether it's Trent there, whether it's Joe Gomez there. There's space there to be had, and you got to do it. And I think for a team like Liverpool, it's not the same psychological pressure they put on you. They literally put pressure on you. They are all over you in the final third, and it creates a different type of urgency and panic, and it invites mistakes, which they are ruthless about capitalizing on. And that's been Klopp's philosophy as long as he's been around, and he's a master at it. And it's hard to argue with it with the results he's gotten.
I also think, and again, I was very critical of him last year. I think we're going to see at some point this year, and I know he had the 2 goals at Newcastle to turn 0 or 1-0 to 1-2 in Liverpool's favor. Every time Darwin Nunez steps on the field, every single time, goal chances happen. Yeah, and a lot of that is because he has a way of just creating opportunities. Even though I don't like him with the ball all that much, he's not awesome with it, but he's kind of like a very poor man's Erling Haaland. And Haaland is just so elite at it.
Yeah. I wouldn't call anything about Darwin Nunez's price tag poor. A lot. He's a good player. I think he'll come good. He's still so young. He struggles. I think there's some really fun, exciting young strikers in the Premier League. Rasmus Højlund at United.
He's going to be good.
He looks good. Yeah, Darwin Nunez, Erling Haaland, or Evan Ferguson. There's just a lot of really fun, big physically dominating Ivan Toney strikers in the Premier League, and it's going to be interesting to see how they develop and who comes good and who kind of fades off and where they all end up. But there's a lot of gambles being made on these players by these clubs, and so it'll be fascinating to watch as it plays out this season.
Let's spend a couple of minutes on United lost 4-3 today at Bayern.
Yep.
But they are in a funk is not the right word. I'm not sure. I think their side is good, but I don't think their side is that good where I don't think there's a run in them that gets them back into the top 4. It's so early. I get it. I don't know if they have enough quality to get into the top 4. I don't see them being as good as Brighton. I don't know if they're as good as Villa. I think Chelsea's got a better team than them, but Chelsea doesn't know what they're doing either. But I think that the problem for United is more. It's more cultural. It's not as much about these players don't fit on the field. Right. I just think that there are issues that have nothing to do with football that I think are getting in the way of United.
Absolutely. I think that they need to they're very much where I think there's a lot of similarities between where they are and where Arsenal were a few years ago. And I've mentioned this to others in the past, but when you run your club based off the name of your club, as opposed to what you need to do to build your club, you invite this. I think a lot of this, a good analogy locally is look at the transformation from Bill Peters to Rod Brindamore. It's not because Ten Hag is a bad manager, as Bill Peters was. That's not what it's about. It's about culture. And it's about, do they have someone who understands what United is and has the force of personality to uproot the structures behind the scenes? I think they thought that's what they got in Ten Hag. I don't think he has been able to do that. And I think part of that is his people management. His inability in some of his press conferences, it's seemingly to take ownership on himself is a big piece of it. I think compare that to Arteta. And I don't want to turn this into a referendum on United versus Arsenal. I think it's more, it's a unique example of you had somebody come in who got the club and said, we're going to remake this club with the standards and expectations that I remember and what I think the values of this club that it should be. And he had the force of personality that not only hold to the standards, forcing Özil out, putting Aubameyang on the bench, making hard choices. He also bought player contracts out. We took some medicine. And then beyond that, he took responsibility for the results on the pitch and protected his players, created a safe environment for them to work through what he wanted. And now we're seeing the fruits of that labor. And from the top down, we have a whole new structural hierarchy. Our CEO just announced that he's stepping away at the end of the season. That's a pretty big loss, but it's also perfect because he's stepping away because culturally we are in a good place and it is an attractive job. So we're going to be able to go recruit somebody good for that role. Whereas 5 years ago, we wouldn't have been able to do that. And I think that type of systemic review and process and having the people skills internally to speak truth to power up the chain, telling the Cronkies, telling the ownership what they need to be doing and making them believe that change is possible at the same time managing the players. That's something that Ten Hag does not seem to have a grasp on. And I think that's what's holding United back right now. Not his tactical acumen or ability to manage that team on the pitch.
Yeah, I'm not like they're a counterattacking team. They kind of bore me a little bit. They're really good on the counterattack.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not dangerous because they don't play like they don't hate the game like Tottenham did under Conte. So it's not quite as bad. But
yeah,
Rashford scored a ton of goals last year. I want to like Marcus Rashford, but I haven't liked him this year. I think Rashford quit on the game. Who they just forget now? I'm forgetting who they just played and
Brighton.
Oh yes, they got whacked by Brighton. He quit. He had a scoring chance in the first 15 minutes. It didn't go. I thought he quit on the game. I thought he just looked like I don't have it today. Bruno was good, but Bruno wasn't great. Casemiro's been. I mean, now I'm obviously on the field at this point, but Casemiro's been not even close to what he was a year ago. And they've got injuries. Not having Varane matters.
That's their biggest loss. Honestly, I think he covered up a lot of problems.
Luke Shaw.
Yeah, but Varane in particular, he allowed Martinez to go hunt the ball.
Yeah.
And now Martinez in space is not able to do what he's good at. Martinez gets to get stuck in. He wants to be a pest. He wants to intimidate you with an early foul and make you think twice about coming into his area. And then he can defend through a presence as opposed to actually having to go to ball. And now without Varane there who can patrol behind him and sweep up everything and really set the pace for that team, he is being exposed and targeted, similar to how they started the season last year, where he was the target because Harry Maguire and others were still in center back and Varane hadn't established his place in the heart of that defense. He's the linchpin, and until they get another facsimile for Varane, because he's old, they're not really going to be able to advance and do what Ten Hag wants, which is that build from the back possession style that Tottenham, Arsenal, City, all are trying to build with. Brighton.
I joked with Jack, Goldie Younger. I said, who do you think goes further in Europa? Liverpool or United? But I'm not even sure they're going to get to Europa. They could finish fourth in their group. I kid. They probably won't finish fourth.
I think they'll be all right.
Look, I still think they have a chance to get a European spot. I don't think it'll be Champions League, but I think United can finish. I think if you're in the top 8, I think you'll be playing in Europe.
Yeah.
So I think they could finish in the top 8. I'm blown away by just how dysfunctional they look. Now Sancho will never play there again. I don't think he can play for Ten Hag. And who knows what the status of Antony is. I don't know. Maybe put Garnacho on the field. I like Pellistri. Pellistri is from a countryman of Darwin Nunez. All right, I joked, but we'll just talk about it here, and then we can maybe we can go through some tiers so far in the league. We'll go through these things quickly. I'm a little bit. I don't know if I'm protective of Aaron Ramsdale, and I don't know why I should be because you're the Arsenal fan, not me. But I kind of feel bad for Aaron Ramsdale because I really believe that David Raya is going to be their number one goalkeeper. And it might not be a pure number one, but I think they're going to play Raya more than they play Ramsdale the rest of this year.
I think you're right. And I think it's one of those things. And I thought about it. If you asked me on Sunday when we played Everton, I was like, oh, well, they're in a rotation. After today, I think you're at 100% right. I think Raya's our new number one, whether it's a true number one or it's a 1.5, who knows? But he's definitely the path forward. And it's not because Ramsdale's not good. And as an Arsenal fan, it's hard because there's two sides of this, right? I felt bad for Ramsdale. I wanted him. He helped us get to the Champions League. I wanted him on that stage as a reward. But you never arrive. You were always building. And if you look at the Arsenal squad, it's really hard right now to find a position where you're going to find a better player. And the goal, talent wins. In sport, talent wins.
No question.
And so you've got to find that next piece of the puzzle. And if you look across the pitch, we got Rice. Partey was great, but we upgraded Rice. Bang. Jacques left. We got Havertz. We got Vieira. That's probably a spot we're going to continue to look at. You've got Saka. It's really hard to upgrade there. Jesus, that's probably a spot we're going to be looking to supplement, if not upgrade, but at least augment.
Right.
And then you start thinking, well, goalkeeper is the only position in that starting 11 that you might be able to get something more of what you want. And if you watched the game today, one thing that was clear was how calm Raya was on the ball.
Yes.
How much he set the pace from the back. And when he broke the lines, he was able to give us a different way of attacking PSV that Ramsdale can't. That splitting ball all the way, I think it was late in the game, either to Havertz or Vieira, just over the top, fizzed through the line, completely broke the play apart, and it went over top the press and set us off in a new phase of play. And I think if you're thinking like Mikel Arteta, he said, I'm ruthless about winning. Mm-hmm. And this is just an example of it. And, these are professionals. This is their job. I hate it. And for Ramsdale, because he seems like a great guy, and it seems like he did a lot to get to this point. But also by getting to this point and performing the way he did for Arsenal, he has set himself up to go anywhere he wants. And this is, if he does want to move, Arsenal will get a fee that would be worthy of a player of his caliber. And he will get to be a number one in the Premier League. He's a number one caliber goalie. It's just for what we're doing, if we want to take it to the next level, I think Arteta sees Ederson, he sees Alisson, he sees these goalies that can move the ball with their feet and completely negate a press. And that is the next step for this team. And that's what I think he got. And if we remember when we bought Ramsdale, we went after Raya first and we didn't get him.
Yeah,
and
look,
we got
we know so. the data says that Raya is better with his feet.
And I think that's all it is. I think it boils down to that.
And there's no real difference. I don't think there's any real difference in terms of shot stopping. I think they're about the same.
Ramsdale's probably a better pure stopper, but Raya exudes a little bit more confidence on the cross. And against Everton, I noticed that. Everton were only going to score off a set piece. They were never going to score an open play. And
is that just in general or in that game?
In that game. And who knows, maybe in general. But in that game, he would go up. He calmly collected the ball. He rarely misplayed a cross, and it really settled everybody down. And I think if you look at that game, and I won't belabor this, will be the last point on here, but when we started the game, usually what we've done, as long as Ramsdale's been there, is we get kickoff, we pass back to Ramsdale, and he hoofs it up the left channel, and we create an overload on the left to create an attack. Well, Everton under Sean Dyche play terror ball. And it's what's that like? In order to beat your enemy, you must become your enemy. Well, we decided to do that, and we passed it back. And for 3 minutes to start that game, Everton didn't touch the ball, and it completely took the crowd out of it. It completely settled down Goodison Park, and it allowed us to just control the center of the pitch, control the game. And then ultimately we broke them apart, got our goal, and went home. No questions asked. Deserved 1-0 winners in a game where Everton sniffed goal, maybe half a chance. And that's what he was trying to do. And I think Ramsdale can sometimes get caught up in the fervor. And I think Raya allowed us to stay composed and execute the game plan better.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's more of it's almost a personal thing, even though again,
I hear it.
No
I think
emotional attachment, right?
It just sucks. He seems like a good dude.
Yeah, and so, but I agree. He's probably a top 10 goaltender in the Premier League.
He's England's number one. He's better than Pickford. I'm sorry, he's England's number one. If we're being honest, maybe Nick Pope. But
he's better than Pope. He's better than Pope. I don't know if he's better than Pickford.
I think Pickford just makes too many rash mistakes. He's a little too erratic, but who knows? I think it's
that hair slicked back is not a good thing. All right, let's do. We actually did what's wrong, Chelsea. We didn't really do what's wrong with Chelsea. We could pile on Chelsea another session.
We'll save that for next week.
Obviously, there's only one Manchester City. They are on a tier in and of themselves. Is the next tier just Arsenal and Liverpool? And do you have it Arsenal 1, Liverpool 2, like I do?
I do. I think that's right. I think today we saw Arsenal with Jesus and what he brings into that team. And a lot of that stale attack looked a lot more electric. And part of that's the competition, but I don't know if PSV's that much worse than Forest. They're not bad. They've got some solid players, and
I think PSV's good.
They're good. They're second they're currently first in the Dutch league. I think they've got good talent. Noah Lang on the left is good. Serginho Dest is on there. They've got players throughout. But I think Gabriel Jesus is a difference maker.
Yeah.
And I wonder, you saw how electric Arsenal looked at the start of last year. did his injury impact more than we realized? Because he was
last
out
year?
for, I know, yeah.
They won.
And now
They
you
won a
see
lot
him
of those
coming
matches
back.
without him, right? They won a lot of those matches without
They
him, but
did.
it takes a toll.
They did, and I think it did take a toll. And I think some of those matches we won without him, maybe we win some of the later ones because we had him there, and Eddie's fresher later. So who knows? But I think him coming back into form right before the North London Derby, him being able to get a goal in and get off in 60 minutes and get minutes under his legs and basically control the play from the point of attack. He comes in from he drops into the midfield and creates chaos. And that opens up space for our wingers and our attacking mids to exploit. And Eddie just doesn't do that well enough. He does what he does well, which is stay at the spear point of the attack. But what Jesus does is he makes everyone around him better. And I think with him, it's Arsenal Liverpool. Without him, I think Liverpool Arsenal are on the same level. If Jesus stays fit and plays and starts throughout the year, Arsenal are title contenders. They're going to go after City. They're going to have a good shot. Without him, we're a Champions League team.
All right, let's the next tier, and I don't want to spend a lot of time because I want to get to our picks for the week. I've got Brighton, Tottenham, West Ham, Villa, and Newcastle as a big pack of teams fighting for the last Champions League spot and probably 3 spots or 4 spots in. Actually, we might have 2 Champions League spots there for next year. I think it will be 5 from the Premier League in Champions League. So I'm just going to ask you this. Give me one of those teams that you think is the best of that Brighton. 6.
I've been on them all year. I mean, it's got to be. But I also, with your 5, 6, I draw a line between Brighton and Tottenham and then the other 3. I think right now they're in a sub-tier. I think it's Brighton, Tottenham, and then West Ham, Villa, and Newcastle are right behind them. And they could easily overlap them. But I think what Brighton are doing globally, the way they looked at Old Trafford, the way they play their principled football. It doesn't matter who they're playing against. And it's awesome to see. And it's fun to watch a club with a manager and it as well run as it is. I mean, in stark contrast, we talked about the problems with United. It's literally the exact opposite of Brighton. And you just see night and day what you can do when you are well run.
And like they put Pedro on and Ansu Fati on, and they're just like, oh my gosh, they got better. They got better when they put those 2 dudes on the. I mean, they're so much fun to watch. I actually think that Brighton is closer to Liverpool and Arsenal than they are to any of that other group, but they're so young and they're still, I mean, there has to be some kind of adjustment period to not having Caicedo and not having McAllister in there that I just don't know. But to me, they're the best of that 6. And
for sure.
It's amazing considering they're playing in Europa for the first time ever. I think they're going to be in Champions League next year. I just don't know who's going to be left. I don't know who's going to be left on that team to be in Champions League.
Bet against them on your own peril because they're going to find some $7 million South American prodigy that they're going to sell for $70 million a year later. So,
gosh, they're like the opposite of Liverpool. Liverpool can't. Liverpool waits till Klopp falls in love. We don't sell anybody, and then he's out of contract. So
he used to be great at selling Coutinho, Brewster. There was a lot of good sales there, but then I think once that core was established, it's hard to. Klopp's a little romantic at times.
He is. So. He loves his players. I think it's actually part of his charm. I think as a manager is that he really does love these guys. Like, they should probably try to find somebody in January who wants Thiago. Right?
Oh, yeah.
But I think Klopp is like cool with him just hanging around and then leaving for nothing when the summer comes. All right, let's get to match week 6.
All right, let's do it.
The standings are they're very tight. I'm 32-17. You are 31-18. The difference is my big 6 is 3-0. Yours is 2-1. But I mean, nothing to sneeze at. You're at 1885 to the good. I'm at 2740 to the good. Why didn't we actually put money on this, Jay?
Because as soon as we put money on it, our records are going to look like Jack's.
Wow.
As soon as it's real money, it's not going to be good anymore.
You're so right. You're so right. For the show today, people will understand we place bets on the show. I had Bayern to lead at halftime, Bayern to win, total over 3.5 goals. That crushed. I had Kane with a goal that was plus 230. I had Kane with a goal and an assist at plus 500. He had to get at least one of each.
Got it.
And he got it. The pass to Sané for the first goal, and then from the spot, he scores the third goal. And what was the other one? I had an Inter. Who did Inter?
You had them losing, right?
No. I had them. I had them draw. It was a draw. It was. I'm now forgetting who Inter played, but I had a draw with plus 280 or whatever it was. Stupid. This would never happen if it was actual money. All right, let's get to it. We will start. We've got 5 on Saturday, 5 on Sunday. Right. Palace hosting Fulham. Who you got?
I got a draw here. I think Palace and Fulham both are coming in, playing well. And I think they just match up. They'll cancel each other out with the draw.
This is one of those where you, me, and Jack all have different outcomes. Jack has Fulham. I think Palace is going to win. I think Fulham is getting good results. I don't know if they're playing all that well, but I think they're getting good results. And Palace, I mean, if you're Crystal Palace, it's a match you got to win. Yeah. I just think that I don't think there's any way to get around that. Luton in Aunt Frida's backyard, hosting Wolves. Who do you like?
I like Wolves. I mean, the difference between Wolves, Luton, and Liverpool are more than just like the letters after L.
Right.
And if Wolves play half as well as they did in the first half against Luton, they're going to win 5-0.
5-0.
I mean, if they play like that, Luton just can't keep them out. It's just not going to be close.
I mean, it's going to take Wolves like 8 weeks to score 5 goals. I have this as a draw.
Could be, but we'll see. I mean, they're going to have to get a point somewhere.
Right. I love what I watched in the first half from Wolves. I really do. Yeah. But I don't know. I have this as a draw. City hosting Nottingham Forest. City is it's minus 700. It should be higher, to be perfectly honest.
Low.
I've got City. I think we all have City here.
Yeah. Next.
Exactly. All right. Brentford and Everton. Brentford. We're at the G-Tech we are in West London.
I think the Bees are going to do it. I mean, I think they just are a better team at this point, which is wild to say. If you told me that even 3 years ago when Brentford came up, you're like, oh yeah, Brentford are head and shoulders above and better run club and just a better club than Everton. You'd be like, what? But that's where they're at. So,
I think Everton at Goodison Park is going to pick off a couple of mid-table clubs, right? That's how I think they'll stay up. And Brentford is a mid-table club, but I think they're a kind of a good mid-table club, and I don't think they're losing or going to be challenged really by Everton at home. All right, let's go to the next one. Burnley and Manchester United. They are, what is this? Kenilworth? Is this Kenilworth Road or is that Sheffield United? I don't know.
That's Sheffield.
Sheffield, whatever. Folsom Field. They're playing at the University of Colorado. Burnley at home to Manchester United. Jay?
I think United win. I think at the end of the day, these clubs that have come up, there is a gulf in class, and it is evident. And I think, we came out thinking, I think Everton are going to find a way to get themselves dragged into a relegation fight they have no business being in. And I think part of it is because of the way Sean Dyche plays football. Burnley are going to have a better chance of stealing points because they actually want to play. But I think United have too much talent and are just a better team, which is wild to say. And I think they're going to get they got those points against Forest. They got those points against Wolves. There's enough there to get the points against Burnley.
Yeah, they'll get a point. I think United will get a point. I have this match as a draw. So does Jack, the United fan, who is now fed up, completely fed up with
Name me a United fan who isn't.
I mean, I think he wants Ole back. I think he's rooting for that. It has come to that. All right. Our double match, the North London Derby. We are at the Emirates. Tottenham is in town. Do I have to ask? I want you to give me a score. Give me a score line for this.
3-1 Arsenal. I think what this boils down to is Jesus is fit, and does Tottenham, is Ange going to play to his principles, or is he going to be pragmatic? Because if he plays to his principles and they want to keep the ball and they want to create and give Arsenal space and play, I think we rip through them. I don't think they can handle on the back end our front five, front six coming at them with pace, with space to manage it. If they sit back and decide to play a little bit more pragmatic and catch us on the counter, it could be an interesting game. I think it could easily end in a draw. But I think with this being his first North London derby, the way he has gone about running and revolutionizing this club, he's going to come out and try to make a statement and show that, you know, we're going to go out fighting for his fans and for his players, to show that, like, we're about this life. Like, we're not just talking about it, we're going to be about it. And I think it's the right move for him, because if his first big game he cowers and he shrinks into a shell, then everything he's taught them kind of goes out the window. And so even if they get hammered or even if they lose, the ability to showcase your football and tell your players you believe in it is more important than the result at this point in their process. So yeah. I think they're going to come out and play us. I think it's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a nervy first half, but I think Arsenal just have too much at the end.
I agree. I think they're going to play. I think we're going to see goals. I think we're going to see fun. I think Pedro Porro is really good. I think Sarr is good. I think Udoggy, Good Doggy, whatever his name is, I think he's good. I don't know if they're going to keep Son at the 9, because he played that way last match, and then Richarlison came on and saved them, of all people, or if that gets Richarlison, you know, in the starting 11. I mean, and they put Son back in the left.
Maybe I think that's and Perisic, another ACL victim, tore his ACL in training, non-contact today.
Awesome.
So he's out as another, and that's probably his career. He's 35 at this point. It's probably done. And I just got to say one last thing on this match. I better hope Arsenal pull it off, because if not, I have to wear a Tottenham shirt. Shout out to Michael Bubble, who has put the wager down. Loser wears the opposing team's kit to the next North London derby at the pub. So,
well, I will say this.
I am hopeful that I don't have to do that. But Mike, you'll look good in red and white.
Tottenham's got maybe the cleanest shirt in the league.
Yeah.
I mean, it's white. It's a beautiful, beautiful shirt. And I put this on Twitter.
Very nice home kit.
I put this on Twitter, having watched Chelsea in their mint kits. I hate the club. I hate everything about Chelsea. But I think they might have the 3 nicest uniforms in the Premier League. I love the blue, the simple blue. It's a beautiful color. I love their white with a little bit of a light blue marking for their white, and I think the mint is just absolutely clean. It gives me good breath.
That's fair. I think the Arsenal third kit is so nice, though. I don't know if you've seen that.
That yellow, yellow and black thing?
No. That one's terrible. The green and blue one.
I want to see Arsenal in that yellow, whatever squiggly line, play United looking like a League One, like Crawley Town or something. I don't even know what United is wearing with the green and white stripes. All right, Brighton at home to Bournemouth. Again,
Brighton. I think that's tough for anyone. I think that's going to be a tough place for folks to go win. And I know they've had one loss, but overall Brighton are just playing really well, and I think they continue to keep carrying on. Best vibes FC, best vibes in the league.
By the way, I dig the green and blue. Arsenal third kit. That's a good look.
It's quite nice. It's quite nice.
That is a good look. It's right behind the 3 kits from the team I can't stand.
Yeah, fair enough.
I mean, look, it's the only team I really despise. To me, they're the St. Louis Cardinals. All right, Chelsea. By the way, I think we all have Brighton. Chelsea home to Villa. Chelsea is somehow -1. I haven't given any numbers here. Chelsea is -110 in this match to Villa. This seems like it's a much more even match to me.
So if you took the goals away from the field, Chelsea are playing best football in the league. They're number 1 in possession, final third entries, dribbles completed. They're starting to find an identity. I think they're figuring it out. But unfortunately, the most important part of the game is the goal.
Yep.
And they can't do that. And so I think they draw. I think it's going to be a boring 0-0.
I have a draw here too. Can Villa play a goalless game? I think we're going to have 1-1.
Maybe.
And by the way, what are the odds that Ivan Toney plays at Chelsea?
I mean,
there's a joke sitting there. There's a joke sitting there. Ivan Toney would bet on it.
Ivan Toney, yeah, I bet it. I mean, at this point, you can't. What are the odds any player is going to end up at Chelsea?
That's true.
So who knows?
Maybe that. We'll all be. I'm going to sign for Chelsea before the end of this.
If they want to pay me on that 8-year deal for a couple $100,000 a week, I think I could stomach the blue.
You and I both have draws. Jack has Chelsea. Liverpool home to West Ham. Liverpool's a heavy favorite in this, by the way, -245. West Ham's been fun. What do you think?
I got Liverpool at home. I still until they really do not look like Liverpool at Anfield, it's hard to not pick them at home.
Right.
And so I just think they still pull it out. They've got enough in attack to pressure West Ham. And I think if, again, that constant barrage in your final third, it wears on you if you don't feel like you have enough of an outlet the other way. And I don't know if West Ham do, even though they've been playing very well.
I'm terrified of this match. Terrified of it.
I bet you are.
Jared Bowen. I mean, I know he's on the right side, but Jared Bowen, Paquetá, I think they can do great things. I think they're going to be a threat. I think Liverpool will concede first, and I just hope Liverpool gets a point out of it. I really do. I have a draw. Yeah, I know you and Jack both have Liverpool. I was terrified of Wolves. Terrified of that match. I just don't know how many times you can go to the well after conceding first for Reds. All right, final match. Sheffield United home to Newcastle. Sheffield is +550 at home. That's worth it just for the hell of it.
Nah, man, Sheffield's dead to me after what they did last week. Never picking them. Newcastle, give me Newcastle. Hi, Sheffield.
Yeah, I've got Newcastle too. On the low, Newcastle's 0-0 draw with Milan at San Siro. That's a great result for them.
Yep.
To get a point on the road at AC Milan, that is an awesome result for them. I think they take that momentum. I think they beat Sheffield. I think they beat them soundly. I can see this being 2 or 3-0.
Nice.
All right. That was cool. That's match week 6. That's Jay Kumar. I'm Adam Gold. We should do this again. Let's see. Dyro says Arsenal 4-1.
All right.
Spurs.
I like it. I like the momentum. A lot of good vibes. Son said it's a bad time to play Tottenham. We'll see who's right, me or him. He's on the field.
Mikel Antonio says that West Ham's going to finish above Liverpool in the table.
Go for it. What else is he going to say?
I mean, I got no problem with that.
Yeah.
And I don't believe in bulletin board material at all. But I mean, if you're Mikel Antonio, he's playing well. They're playing well. They've almost been fun, even though it's David Moyes. I said almost. I said almost. Yeah. It's not that much fun, but all right. We'll see you for match week 7, Jay.
All right. Have a good one.
Peace.